Hi everybody and welcome back to Dragon Eye Creations. If you're new here, my name is Laurel and I love to create. And of course, one of my favorite things to create is gnomes. So I decided to go a little out of the box this week, as I do sometimes. And I decided to have a little fun and I created this little Sasquatch guy. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call him. I think he turned out pretty cute and he's actually surprisingly easy to make. Not much to him, a lot of fur, and depending on what fur you make, he'll look very different. But anyways, there's not much, but we're going to show you guys exactly how you can make this adorable little guy. So let's get started. Okay, we're just going to start with some polymer clay today. So I'm just going to start by mixing up a few different browns that I had, some scrap colors, just all the little pieces of browns and a little bit of black even, until I got the color to about what I wanted it to be. And I'm going to start first by just taking a little ball and rolling it up in my hand. This is for his nose. I'm going to add a little cornstarch to smooth it out. This is pretty sticky clay. It's pretty warm today too in here, so not outside, but in my house it is. And then a little ball tool, we're going to make some little nostrils. And as we push it in, we're just going to tilt it up again on the sides just to give us more of an animal type nose than our normal gnomey nose. I also decided to make just a little line on the side, or right in the middle on the front there, and then just a whole bunch of little dots all over it just to add some texture. Again, make it look more animal-like. And then I poked a whole bunch of holes in the bottom here, just a little bit actually, just not all the way through. This just helps so it doesn't crack while baking actually. So then we're going to put that aside to bake it. Next, I took another piece and I'm going to just roll it out, cut it in half so I have two even-sized pieces. This is for his hands. And then we're going to just smooth those out into kind of an oval-y kind of shape where one end is smaller than the other though. Just smoothing out your sides. Again, adding a little cornstarch will really help, just a little bit, to help everything get smoothed out. Takes out any fingerprints if you aren't using gloves as well, anything like that. So I did that with both pieces here, just smoothing out my edges. And once I got them where I wanted them to be, I started to cut out my fingers. So first I cut out one thumb. And then I just make a mark with my knife before I cut it. That way it doesn't, I don't make them uneven. And I did only make, as you can see, one thumb and 3 fingers. If you want to make 4 fingers, you can. I just thought he was more cartoony, this guy, so I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Makes him look a little cuter. I don't know why, but it does to me. And then I just started rolling out those fingers after I cut them in between my fingers. Again, if you need a little cornstarch to make it not sticky, that works great. Added a little point right at the end, just as well mimic his fingernails later. And then we're just going to draw those fingernails on with a small ball stylus tool. Just forming fingernails on the end, on his thumb as well, kind of on a side more for the thumb. Just smoothing them out with your fingertips when you need to. And then I went in and drew a couple little lines on each finger just for knuckles. And then you can form your fingers into the position you want them to be. I add a little hole at the bottom to add my wire later. And then the exact same thing with the second hand. Just roll up those fingers, smoothing them out. Add your little point, draw on your fingernails. You can tell my clay is very soft. It was hard to even draw those little fingernails on. I use really inexpensive clay. I just get the clay kits off Amazon actually. It's pretty inexpensive polymer clay that way. Don't forget to add your little hole at the bottom, form your fingers, some little knuckles. And next we're going to take our last piece here and we're going to divide it in two as well. This is for our feet. Again, trying to make them as even sized pieces as you can. And we're going to start smoothing those out into feet-like shapes. So it's kind of a oval as well, I guess. More of a rectangle, I guess. And then we just kind of make a little curve right on the one side. Little indent. Smoothing it out all out. So it looks like it just kind of curls around, I guess, almost. Same thing for the other foot, making it curve the other direction, obviously. Smooth it all out. making sure they're about the same size. And then we're going to cut out our toes. And roll those in your fingers the same way you did your fingers. I mean, with these ones, I didn't make sure you don't cut them as long as your fingers. You don't want really long toes. These are shorter. And make sure your first toe is quite a bit bigger than the rest, so you have that one big toe. Again, we're going to draw on our fingernails after we make the little points on the end. Or toenails, I'm sorry. You can make some little knuckles on your toes as well. And then we are going to make a hole about 3/4 down from the toes there. So it's closer to the back than the front. Same thing with our other toes. Start rolling them in your fingers. Making sure there's a little point at the end. Draw on your toenails and your knuckles. Make your hole. And then we're going to bake those at 130 for 30 minutes. Next, we're going to use a 4-inch long pool noodle, this really long brown fur. I love this stuff. And I'm going to cut it. You can see I just slide my scissors right close to the top, so it's not cutting the actual fur, but cutting just the fabric backing. So for our first piece, we're going to be using a 12 by 7.5 inch piece of faux fur, making sure your fur is going downwards. We want it to go the right way. So we're going to first just hot glue a strip on the one end. Just glue it right over, pressing it down. And then we add some hot glue to the other end, add our 4-inch long pool noodle and roll it up. Put your noodle right about the middle. I did kind of part the fur here because it is so long that it's hard to glue. So if you just part it and make a space for glue, it makes it work much better. You can see I'll be combing this fur a lot just to be able to work with it a little easier because it is so long. And then I'm just going to add some hot glue right to the top and the inside there and just tuck it all in. Making sure you leave space for a hole though right on the top. Same thing with the bottom. Add some hot glue to that fabric and tuck it all into the hole of our pool noodle there. Making sure all is in there. And then comb it down again so it's not in the way. I am now using a 3.5-inch styrofoam ball. I'm going to cut that in half. This one is painted black only because it was going to be something for another project at one time that I didn't use, so I still have this ball, so I'm using it for this. And the only reason I used a really silly knife is I broke my big knife and I don't have a new one yet. So I'm just going to, now I cut that in half and then I cut out approximately a 6-inch faux fur circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, it's approximate. We're just going to glue down our styrofoam ball that we cut in half right in the middle of that styrofoam or faux fur circle. And then cut little pie shapes all the way around. Add some hot glue to about half of them first of all. And we're just going to tuck those up all around that styrofoam ball. Keep going around, doing a few at a time once you get to the end especially. A little more hot glue to the last couple. Just pull them up nice and tight, tuck them all in. And then, of course, we're going to have to comb that out. And this is when you can kind of figure out where you're going to want your front and your back of your head to be. We're just going to sit that right on top of him for now. And then we're going to start with some hair foam rollers. This one here is a little bit shorter. It's from Dollarama. The longer one I have from Amazon. It's a little bit narrower as well. I'm just going to remove the wire out of both of them. For the arms, they are going to be about 4.5 inches long. Just cut them right in half, making sure they're fairly even. Your legs, you want to make sure they are a little more even. So we're going to remove the wire from both of those, as you can see. Take the wire right out and cut those in half as well. These ones will be about 4 inches long when we're done. Make sure they are quite even for your legs. You want those to be pretty much exact. And then we can put those aside. We're going to work on our arms. And for our arms, the faux fur is about 5¼ by 4 inches. And we are going to just hot glue down the one end quickly, just a very small little piece at the end. Add some hot glue to the other end and add your hair foam roller and roll it up. Make sure to pull all the fur away to the one side and add some hot glue. Roll it up again. Can comb that all down. Same thing with our other one, hot glue, roll it or tack it down. Another hot glue, roll up your hair foam roller. Another strip of hot glue to finish it off. Next, we're going to take those two little wires, cut off one end of each wire, poke it through our hair foam roller so that the pokey end is at the end that your hair is going towards, I guess is the nicest way to say it. Again, so it goes the same direction, I guess, poking your wire in the same direction the hair is going. We want about 1/2 inch of wire sticking out the bottom, I should mention as well. Now for our legs, we're going to cover those while that glue sets. This fur is about 3½ by 4¼ Same thing, hot glue one strip or one side down, add your hair foam roller, roll it up, finish it off with a strip of hot glue. And second leg, same thing. Roll that up nice and tight, add your hot glue, comb them all down. Trim off any extra off the top. Now our clay pieces are all out of the oven and cooled off, so I'm just going to dry brush a little bit of a light tan kind of color over top just to kind of give it that dirty kind of look, I guess, like muddy. Also brings out a little bit of the texture and lines you've made, like the knuckles and fingernails a little bit. For the feet, don't worry too much about the actual feet parts, more the toes that you're going to see. You're not going to see much of the actual feet anyway. I did cover the whole thing just in case, but it's more just the toe area you're going to see. Same thing on the nose, just give it a little bit of a dry brush there. Just adds a little character to it, I guess. He has enough character though, I think. Next, we are going to add our our hands to our arms there. So that wire that we poked in, we're just going to poke that right into our hands. So I'm just making sure it's going to all fit and look good. And then we're going to take our E6000 and we're going to add that right to the wire there. Polymer clay does not like to be glued to things very well, so that's why we use E6000. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to set, so I also add a little hot glue just to give it that instant stuck, and then that E6000 will take over and make it quite stuck. Same thing with our other one, E6000 on the wire. Some hot glue right around the bottom of your hand, and poke that wire right in there. And then we're going to hook our two wires together where those two little loops are at the end and just pinch them together with a tool there, just so they're nice and stuck together. Then I realized I forgot to put my weights in. So we're going to take just that little piece of hair foam roller that we cut off of our legs, wrap that up in a scrap piece of faux fur, the same color, of course. We want to make sure it matches. And we're going to stuff that in the hole at the bottom, adding some hot glue so it's nice and stuck in there. Just so it all looks the same. Flip him over, and then at the hole at the top, we are going to add our pebbles. So just as many pebbles as you can stuff into that hole. These are pebbles I just get from Dollarama. If you have access to some outside, that would be a much even cheaper option. Next, we are going to add our arms to the top as well, right over where we put those pebbles. Take another scrap piece of faux fur, add some hot glue, and we're going to glue everything down now. Now our arms are stuck there, our pebbles are stuck in there, everything is stuck with that little piece of faux fur. Next, we are going to take, this is our nose. Remember the little holes we poked in the back of it? I'm going to use one of those to add this skinny little skewer, just a little bit, just so we got a little pokey end on the other end. Just because we have so much fur, it's going to be a little difficult to add our polymer clay nose. So I just added this skewer to kind of help that go a little smoother for me. So I just added some hot glue to the skewer, and I'll poke it right in to my pool noodle there. And now that nose is going to be really attached. Now, a whole bunch of hot glue to the bottom of our head. add that right to the top of our guy, over top of our arms and everything. Comb his hair the way you want it. I noticed his hands and stuff, you could barely see them, so I do end up trimming that later. I did grab these wooden skewers. Now these are the bigger square kind of ones, and I cut off the top of them and add those to my legs, making it a little hot glue right at the bottom. Pull it through while you're twisting so it's nice and stuck in there, making it flush with that hair foam roller. Same thing, the second one, push it through, and at the base of it, we're going to add some hot glue, twist it in so it's nice and flush with our hair foam roller. And then we're going to take some more of these skinnier skewers again, and I'm going to cut them short and just poke them into those holes we made in our polymer clay feet. These are about 2 inches long. Just as some E6000, make sure you use the E6000 when you're working with your polymer clay always. Next, we're going to poke that stick right in beside the other stick, so it's into the foam, but right beside, adding some hot glue at the top of your little skewer. And then a little bit of hot glue also at the base, just to keep everything nice and snug there. Same thing with the other one, a little hot glue around the base there, and on your skewer. And then poke it in right beside. Now at the bottom of our guy, we're going to poke some holes for our legs. Just because we've got so much faux fur going on, we're going to need probably a little help to get those skewers in there. Poke another hole, putting them up, trying to get them as centered as possible so that he will stand nice and tall. This is what I went in and just kind of trimmed it all through. You want to give it like a rough trim. Don't do it like straight across or it will look kind of funny because he needs to be kind of rough looking. So I just kind of went in and just trimmed it all up, all around his hands and his feet so you can see his hands and his feet. This is really long faux fur. This I actually got in one of those remnant bundles from Fabricville. I love this faux fur though. It works great. And then I realized I forgot to add glue to the top of the leg, so we did that quickly here too. Add a little glue right to your skewers, right where they are go into the pool noodle. Poke those right in, nice and snug and tight, pushing them down all the way. Play with his hair some more. Well, there he is. Our little Sasquatch is all ready to go. He is so cute. I really like how he turned out. And I thought I'd show you guys just by switching up the type of fur you use. I also made this yeti, you would call him, I guess, because he's white now. But he is so cute too. I like him. So depending on what type of fur you want to use, this is like a shorter fur. This is longer. I kind of like the longer better, I think. But either way, they're both adorable. So have a lot of fun with it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate all the support and love you guys show. It warms my heart. It really does. So thanks again, and make sure to check back soon for more creations. And until then, love to all.